You know that feeling when you have what seems like the most brilliant idea at 2 a.m., but when daylight hits, you realize it's completely insane? Well, that's exactly the story I'm about to tell you. A story about how I, at 24 years old, decided it would be an excellent idea to do my first live cooking show on Instagram. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. If you're one of those people who thinks they can cook because they can make ramen without burning it, this story is especially for you, você sabe? Então, because I was exactly like that, a young adult way too confident in my non-existent skills, armed only with Pinterest recipes and a dangerous dose of optimism. Let me introduce you to the cast of this culinary tragedy, certo? First, we have the protagonist, me, a 24-year-old college student who had been living alone for only 3 months. My cooking experience was limited to elaborate sandwiches and occasional experiments with fried eggs. But in my head, I was practically the next Gordon Ramsay. Then we have my girlfriend Sarah, who tried to talk me out of this madness over FaceTime. Babe, are you sure about this? Remember the last time you tried to make a cake, você sabe? Of course I remembered. Então the fire department remembered too, entende? But this time would be different. After all, I had watched 3 YouTube videos about making risotto. And finally, we have the real villains of this story, the Instagram commenters. Those human beings who apparently live only to destroy the self-esteem of young beginner cooks. Spoiler number 2, they were ruthless. Everything started on a Thursday when I was scrolling through Instagram and saw an influencer doing a cooking live stream, certo? How easy, I thought. You just turn on the camera and cook. As if cooking wasn't challenging enough for someone who considers ketchup one of the main food groups. I decided I would make shrimp risotto, né? Why? Because it sounded sophisticated and I wanted to impress my followers, all 847 of them, including my mom, 3 aunts, and several bots, certo? I bought the most expensive ingredients I could find, because obviously expensive ingredients mean good food, right? Sabe, wrong. The preparation included watching dozens of videos, taking notes like I was studying for an important exam, and organizing all the ingredients cinematically on my tiny counter. I even bought a new apron, because appearances matter when you're about to humiliate yourself publicly. At 7 p.m. sharp, I hit the Go Live button with the confidence of an experienced chef. Bem, hey everyone! Tipo assim, today we're going to make an incredible shrimp risotto. My voice was steady, my smile was in place, and my arrogance was sky high, né? The first comments were encouraging. How cool! Let's see how it turns out, and good luck! I felt like a culinary celebrity. I started explaining each ingredient with the authority of someone who definitely hadn't Googled everything 5 minutes before. The first sign that things weren't going well appeared when I tried to peel the shrimp live, percebe? Apparently, removing shrimp shells while holding your phone and trying to maintain a fluid conversation is a skill I didn't possess. The shrimp flew around the kitchen like little pink projectiles, and I laughed nervously while the comments started getting interesting. Dude, you're massacring those shrimp. That's not how you peel shrimp. My God, what desperation. My confidence started cracking like a poorly broken egg. The second phase of the disaster began with the rice, digamos assim. According to the video I watched, you should toast it lightly before adding the broth.
Simple, right? Well, it turns out there's a difference between lightly toasting and completely carbonizing. Within minutes, my kitchen was full of smoke, and the smell of burnt rice dominated the environment. Percebi? The comments exploded. Dude, it's burning. Someone call the fire department. Is that risotto or charcoal? I tried to save the situation by adding more olive oil, but that only made things worse. The rice stuck to the pan like glue, and every attempt to stir produced a scraping sound that the phone's microphone picked up perfectly, digamos-y. It was like nails on a chalkboard, broadcast live to almost 200 people watching my dignity slowly being destroyed. Guys, everything's under control, I lied shamelessly while trying to scrape caramelized rice from the bottom of the pan. Anger, the comments didn't buy it. Under control? Not even the US economy is this out of control. Dude, stop before it's too late. Call your mom. Determined to save what was left of my reputation, I moved on to the next step, cooking the shrimp. We're going to make the most perfect shrimp you've ever seen, I announced with a confidence I no longer felt. I turned the heat to maximum because, in my beginner logic, high heat means fast cooking. The shrimp went into the hot pan and immediately started making a noise I can only describe as a scream of crustacean agony. In seconds, they went from translucent pink to bright orange, then to alarming red, and finally to a brown that definitely wasn't in any tutorial. The smell was indescribable. Imagine burnt rubber mixed with old fish. The comments reached the peak of cruelty. Those shrimp had a better life in the ocean. RIP Shrimp 2024-2024. Dude, you just committed a crime against cooking. This should be illegal. The climactic moment arrived when I tried to mix everything together. The stuck rice, the dried out shrimp, and a broth I had added too late and too hot, digamos-y. The resulting mixture looked like something you'd find at the bottom of the ocean after a shipwreck, você sabe? At that moment, I had almost 300 people watching live. My audience had tripled, but not for the right reasons. Comments were rolling so fast I could barely read them. This is entertainment. Best comedy I've watched this year. Someone make a tutorial on how not to cook. The final blow came when I tried to taste the creation live, sabe? The expression on my face must have been epic because the comments exploded in virtual laughter. The flavor was a unique combination of burnt rice, rubber shrimp, and salt. Lots of salt, digamos-y. Apparently, when you're nervous, your perception of seasoning gets completely distorted. It's interesting, I managed to say, trying to maintain composure while discreetly spitting into a napkin off-frame. But the front camera is treacherous, and everyone saw. I ended the live with almost 400 viewers, a personal record I never wanted to break. In the following days, the video was saved and reposted more times than I'd like to admit, percebe. I became a meme in university WhatsApp groups and received messages from people I didn't even know followed me. But you know what's interesting? After the initial shock, I started laughing along. The situation was objectively hilarious, and the feedback, although brutal, was also kind of fair. I really didn't know how to cook, and pretending I did on a live stream was a recipe for disaster. Sarah, my girlfriend, laughed for a whole week. I warned you, she said between laughs, certo, but I admit it was funnier than I imagined. Even my mom commented, "Son, next time call me first, or at least make a sandwich." Comments kept coming for days. Some were still mean, but many were encouraging. At least you tried. Everyone started like this. Do it again, but with supervision. Some even shared their own kitchen disaster stories, creating an unexpected community of disastrous cooks. 6 months later, I can say that disastrous livestream was one of the best things that happened to me, entende? Not because the risotto turned out good, it definitely didn't, but because I learned valuable lessons about humility, preparation, and most importantly, about not taking myself too seriously.
Today, I know how to make decent risotto, digamos assim. I took online cooking classes, practiced a lot off social media, and slowly gained confidence in the kitchen, tipo assim. I even did a second cooking live stream a few weeks ago, this time truly prepared, and it was a success. Most importantly, I discovered that people connect more with authenticity than with perfection. My disastrous live stream generated more genuine engagement than any perfect content I've ever posted. People like to see that we're human, that we make mistakes, and that we can laugh at ourselves. If you're thinking about trying something new, even knowing it might go wrong, I say go for it, nah. The worst that can happen is you become a meme for a few weeks and learn something in the process. And who knows, maybe you'll discover that failing publicly can be the first step toward real success. So tell me, what was your biggest cooking disaster? Tipo assim, let me know in the comments. Hit that like button if you laughed at my misfortune, and subscribe for more stories about how not to do things in Panda. I promise the next ones will be less traumatic, at least for the shrimp and Panda.